now I'm gonna kiss you and take you by the I don't know. Because he's honestly very attractive.
Catalyst that made everything that Mac and Charlotte have together start.
You feel like the ugly duckling when everybody else gets the honey? The book! Inappropriate looks at inappropriate places.
Yeah, she's good at the double entendre. She is.
Well, I think any woman is. Yeah, I've heard some huge.
I think it was a beautiful kiss until it wasn't.
Why do I like it? Because, yeah.
I'm glad you like it.
Okay. Hello and welcome back to our YouTube channel.
Howdy, howdy.
And today we're going to dive into some scenes of Haunt. And these are some of our probably favorite scenes that we selected. And that was a task almost impossible.
Yeah, we argued.
Yeah. And we think that we got something like a compromise. Don't you think?
I have another sheet of paper that is the anti-compromise.
Yeah, but the video would be like 4 hours long, so...
That's true.
We're hoping we can make this again in a 1 hour long video, and hopefully it's not too long.
We'll see.
And we will start with the very first one, the most shocking one, the Ortolan Bird scene.
I'm not going to say it's the most shocking one. I think it's a shocking one for the first chapter, though.
Yes, I mean, it's like a... a nice hefty warning for the reader, for him.
Watch your step. It's not a Western.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not Louis L'Amour.
No, and it's not a simple Western. It's not a simple romance. There's a lot to unravel. So we will basically discuss how each scene made us feel or why it's so impactful that we chose them. Not so much as describe the scenes because... First of all, it's spoilerish.
It would be so easy for us to describe the whole book and have to link it in, but then this is going to be 12 hours.
Yeah, not only that. This is supposed to be for readers who already are past those.
So if you remember the scene about the bird in the beginning, then that's what we're going to talk about.
So, the Ortolan Bird.
Yeah. It's not really about the bird. The bird is a metaphor.
Yes.
The metaphor... of this really disgusting man.
Yeah.
Who's comparing this little girl to the Ortolan Bird. And the Ortolan Bird itself, of course, has really terrible things being done to it. It's a delicacy that's so terrible you have to put a sheet over your head to hide the act of eating it from God because it's such a terrible thing.
Yeah, it's a sin.
You did to the bird. But this guy didn't even care about the sheet.
Yeah. And to me, the way I see it, after reading the scene or writing it, I guess, it's like, when you're a child and you're afraid of the monsters under your bed or in the closet or whatever, and you lay awake at night and are like this with your little blanket and are looking through the dark at every little corner. Well, the problem here is that the monster actually exists.
Yeah.
And it's at the door and it's peeking in and talking with this really... sickly.
She may not understand every inference about the bird, but she understands the way he sounds, the way his voice is.
And he's, a client of her mother's, so she understands that part too at 9 years old.
Yeah. But the really sickening thing is he's not truly there for the mother.
Yeah. And it just really, it makes my stomach churn when he just opens the door slowly and just approaches her further and further.
It makes you feel like a petrified little girl to read it because he's disgusting, he's coming in, and it's all the more scary because you're viewing it from her.
Yeah.
she can't do some things. All she can do is hide further and further below her blanket.
And you know that a blanket, doesn't do much to save you or shelter you. And you know at the same time that her mother is wasted.
Yeah. Completely out of her mind in the next room. Mm-hmm. No protection. So
there's this tension there that I feel for her.
And, I think it's quite all right that you didn't go all the way through that scene to show what it could have been. Yeah. It's quite scary enough. Yes. The reader understands what it could be.
Yeah, I don't like going into details when it involves children.
Yeah.
Although I have gone to details, but not details that depict such act. It's implied.
In this, I think everyone could imagine what this old man had in mind.
Yeah.
And just that fear and the way she felt and what development that caused to her character. Mm-hmm. That's the key.
Yeah.
But it's also a really brilliant metaphor to use the Ortolan Bird. I actually think that was really nice.
I like that. Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because, as a child, you are delicate and...
Yeah. An Ortolan bird is literally a tiny little songbird. Mm-hmm. You eat it whole body in one bite.
Yeah, and a songbird is like this merry little thing.
Yeah.
So...
And then to cook it, you basically torture it in several different ways. Mm. It's not a nice process. Mm. So, no, it's a good metaphor. Mm.
So, past this scene.
Yeah. Give us something really light and fluffy now that we dealt with that.
Yeah. The next one we have written down is basically when Charlotte was pinned down by the O'Donnell.
Very nice.
In Marysville. What?
I'm teasing you. No,
It's not a light book. It's not a happy book. It's dark. I don't know why and what that tells about me, but it is what it is.
And you didn't go straight from one to the other, but these are some of some powerful notes.
Because for me this scene is so powerful because Mac appears and we don't know it's Mac. Charlotte doesn't know it's Mac, but she's in La La Land and she thinks it's somebody, just with a bandana, I don't know, in shining armor.
Zorro or somebody coming to save her,
Nope.
No.
And the way I wrote this scene, or I wrote Mac, I just find really, really intriguing because he's somebody that doesn't have emotions. So when he does what he does to the O'Donnell, he's like, just... How to say this?
He's from behind the guy and has a wire or something. And
yes, and as he does what he does, I can't say don't use it, but I don't suppose.
He does his party trick. He does his little party trick.
Yes, party trick, and he just stares like blankly, not blankly. That's the wrong word.
He just is. His pulse isn't up. He's still going like 50 beats a minute.
Yeah, he's just like this steadfast look on him, pinned at Charlotte. And until it's done, and then he just tosses it, to the side. Yeah, and that's just usual habit. And
it's unusual for him because he's not going around saving damsels in distress.
Yes, and
but the act of taking care of the guy was just like.
And there's a particular moment that they share that I find very interesting is when he reaches out and he's uncertain about reaching out to her. Yeah. Like he's kind of like doing this thing.
So he can completely take out a full-grown man without even worrying about it.
Right.
But then to just reach out his hand to her.
It's like so he's
total trepidation.
Petrified of it. Not even petrified. He just senses something as if he were to put his hand through fire or something, knowing that it's supposed to be not good. That's how he's wired right now. That this intimate touch it's just not... permitted. So that's why I like this scene a lot. It's this, you discover, it's the beginning of discovering his arc.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important.
I think it's brilliantly done. Yeah.
Next one, we're skipping a lot, unfortunately.
A whole lot.
A lot. Is the kiss in hope.
Yeah.
And following the nightmare scene, which I also really, really love, is when Mac has his nightmare and yells something in Irish and Charlotte goes through his room and finds him just very tense and sweating and heaving and all this stuff.
And this is a guy that's totally calm during every real-life dangerous situation.
Yes.
But there he is having night terrors.
Yeah, and she's perplexed by that. But she still sits by his side and holds him, basically, by his hand. And this is the first time that they kind of had this interaction. So when he wakes up from it, he freezes. But I love that he sees her through the mirror. Not like he doesn't dare to turn to her to lock eyes with her. And I think that says a lot how petrified he is of this interaction. I said that again, but yeah.
That's what it is, yeah.
And
for her to start having her empathy for him, because she's been scared of him up until now.
Yes.
This is after she realized who he is and what his background is. Mm-hmm. But she's starting to see, hey, it's not,
Yeah, and I like that about her, that she's, open-minded. Well, or naive, I don't know.
Reading between the lines.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I like this interaction a lot, and it just makes me feel very warm and fuzzy. Anything in Hope, any scene in Hope, it's a very special time of reading or writing or whatever. Yeah,
it's the catalyst that made everything that Mac and Charlotte have together start, truly.
Yeah.
This time. Mm-hmm. But what about that kiss in Hope?
Oh, gosh.
How'd that happen? That was after the nightmare.
That was after the other nightmare, after Will was back and she was injured with her foot, and basically Mac, dashes out of the cabin.
He tends to do that.
And she hobbles after like a fool. And I love it because the way it started is Mac asks her about her foot. And it's something that he wouldn't ask before. Like, he's showing some concern towards her. And she doesn't even comprehend what he's talking about, because she's just all about him right then. And knowing that they have to leave and separate. So there's this tension, and there is this yearning to just be close to him, and she can't because Will is in there. But she really, really wants to. Yeah. It's the first time that she feels also these emotions of being in love, basically. And you can really, really, tell that in that scene, and I really like that. And for Mac as well, he's changing. It's the beginning of his change, basically. So
starting to feel the capacity to feel.
Yeah.
Not even realizing it yet, but...
Yes, and they basically draw themselves to each other, and it happens, they kiss, and it's really cute.
Yeah.
And cute, until it's not, because he starts to, I don't know if you can say that here on YouTube, to squeeze.
He does, he starts to squeeze.
To squeeze the poles.
Yep.
And
old habits die hard. Old habits die hard.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I also like this scene because it shows that there is trauma and there are triggers. And even if there's some contact that is so beautiful and so pure, there's still like the brain transforms this into something terrible. Like the contact of lips or...
Yeah. It's like muscle memory.
Yes, like muscle memory. And that's when he has these flashes about Grossman. Yeah. And he starts to squeeze.
Yeah. And she doesn't know what it is. She just knows that he's a serial killer.
Yeah.
And, maybe that's his thing, squeezing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and something that I've added, I don't know if you've read it or not, but it's in this book. He basically goes afterwards and slams his hand against the barn door or something because he just cannot control himself. He needs to unalive somebody, like he's used to, but he
that's
tries,
his release.
Yes, that's his release. So he's trying to restrain himself, not to, because he's afraid that he's going to take this out on her or even Will.
Yeah.
So
Poor Will.
poor Will.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to add anything?
I think it was a beautiful kiss until it wasn't.
Another thing that I think is really, really endearing is the fact that it's their first kiss for both of them. At least for Mac, it's not a forced kiss. And I think this is really thrilling because you know how on your first kiss you're like very nervous and uncertain and also excited and just like completely a mess, inwardly.
So many emotions and worries
yes.
and insecurities, everything happening at once.
So it's really endearing that they're both kind of
Sharing that moment.
share the moment and grow past that, that there is some growth there, I feel like. So that's also why it's a very, very cute scene.
It is. Mm-hmm. I like that you actually made it a cute scene and not...
Yeah, I wanted it to be very, very pure until it's not. But I just wanted this purity. No, oh, look at me, I'm this McKinnon guy and I'm so... badass and now I'm gonna kiss you and take you by the I don't know. I just wanted something. Mac is badass.
Yeah.
But he's also so freaking sensitive and delicate and sweetie pie and innocent. Beneath it all, he's just so shy and timorous and I think that's really cute. I like this contrast in his character,
He's multifaceted. Yeah, you're right. He's not just the same way we've talked about on previous episodes that Charlotte's not, somebody who's just good at everything immediately.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Also, he has a lot of skills, but he also is very hollow in certain ways that he hasn't developed, and it's all new for him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's really makes it a far more three-dimensional character.
Yeah, I agree. All right.
Leading up for the reasons for all of his issues.
The Grossman scenes.
Yeah.
Oh, I will let you start on that.
Well, Grossman, it really takes you through Mac, and this is going through many, many different flashbacks. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to tie it in that we see little bitty Mac with his amazing parents. Mm. We see, the intermediate Mac where he's lost his parents. He's an orphan now, but he's still tough. You can tell it's Mac. He's still kind of this attitude.
Yes.
But he's still, funny and he's still kind of got a spark and everything. Yeah. So he's been through some stuff, but he hasn't lost his spark yet.
No. Mm-hmm.
Until, in a very selfless way, he saves his little best friend, Mickey, that is a bigger character in the books later as an adult. He saves him from a fate that he then takes himself.
Yeah.
He jumps on Grossman's back to let Mickey go away.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Grossman grabs him instead.
Yeah.
And pokes him in the cellar underneath and tells the whole world that, hey, I don't know where that orphan went.
Yeah. And, there has been a lot of abuse preceding this.
Yeah.
From Grossman. Like he was punishing him for drawing. Simple.
Or the Irish.
Speaking Irish and to even have an accent. So he knows that Grossman is very abusive, and that's why he was kind of very protective of Mickey.
Yeah.
So when how do I feel about the scenes, and how do you feel about the scenes? Terrible. How do you feel? Especially writing them. Oh my goodness.
Nothing is scarier than, being in a really terrible environment, but as someone that is not really capable of fighting back.
Yeah.
And same with the Ortolan Bird with Charlotte in the very beginning. You've got Mac underneath who's, he's young and Grossman's this big, just really nasty guy. And then Mac is becoming weaker and weaker because he's chained up against the wall and barely has scraps to eat.
Yeah.
He's just getting beat down completely.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Grossman comes in and he can do whatever he wants, and it's terrifying because there's no way to fight back.
Yeah, and just writing it is just
Yeah.
It's hard to talk about it because when I write those things, you really have to get into the minds of the sick, and it's not a nice place to find yourself in. And
something unique about Grossman's approach, in contrast to the man in the beginning, who has a name, but we're not going to reveal it yet. The man is interested in disgusting things, and the more you squirm, the more he likes it.
Terrible.
Basically, okay?
Yeah.
Grossman has his whole mind game that he's wanting to do. He's wanting you to accept things.
Indoctrination.
He's wanting to basically indoctrinate you with this really, really weird stuff. And that whole dialogue that you have with Mac, where he's basically making him break down mentally as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
As well as physically. And just accept the way. And I think that's what's got Mac so messed up for the rest of his life.
Yeah, and Grossman is not really like a groomer.
Yeah.
Like the man.
He's an opportunist.
Yeah. And he just wants what he wants, and he wants to get it. And if he doesn't get it, he gets extremely mad and just punishes,
Yeah. We've spoken a lot about this abuse of the young here in the first few minutes of this video. The entire series isn't about that specifically.
No.
At all.
No.
But this is kind of starting a backstory of two characters that kind of, Charlotte and Mac, they kind of have this in common a little bit going forward. It helps create and nurture their understanding.
Yeah, and one knows it and the other doesn't.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna say more to that. It's kind of spoilerish, or an Easter egg or whatever. You'll figure it out later on.
It's very, very relevant, and there's a great reason why you kind of integrated that. But the Grossman scenes are absolutely terrifying. They really make you feel powerless, and he's really wicked.
Yeah.
He's really wicked. Mm-hmm. He gets his in the end.
Yeah.
He deserves it.
Yeah.
But it's also really nasty.
And something that I have mentioned before, not here, is that I really, really like the scene where, or the Grossman scenes where Mac is looking at the brick wall, and while Grossman does what he does, and he's just watching their shadows play. And it's kind of like a theater play in his mind, and he's basically dissociating himself. And I found this interesting to write about,
I'm really glad you mentioned that, because that's what we really need to show, is like the way you wrote it and the way you show it. He is viewing it as a theater scene.
Yeah, he's forced to just make the most of it so he can endure it.
Yeah.
So when you're left with nothing, you grasp onto anything to just help yourself survive it, so that's like, imagine a child watching a movie for the first time or whatever. They're distracted by it and entertained by it, and he's in some sick way, he's just entertained by it.
Yeah.
To see this motion, like this life other than what he feels that is being done to him. So there is this life on that brick wall that he's watching each time, and he just numbs himself.
To be honest, that is unspeakably sad.
I know.
It really is.
I know.
That's insane, especially hearing you speak about it that way. And what makes it really sad is, I know this is so common and real, but you've watched so many videos, that are studies showing children and how they manage and deal with this. Really, it's.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you for basically having the courage to write about it and not gloss over it.
Thank you. It's not an easy thing, honestly, to even write about it, but also to write about this particular indoctrination without offending someone.
No, of course.
I mean, I'm gonna say it's about religious stuff. All right.
Yeah, which happens.
It happens. I mean, everybody knows it happens.
It doesn't.
It doesn't mean that I anti.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you're anti anything, but you're anti that act.
Yeah,
and you're anti, using, let's just say, the umbrella of religion as an excuse to enforce that act, to be where you're untouchable. That's got to be evil, no matter what way you slice it.
And it is a big part of Mac's personality and why he's so anti anything religious. There is a reason why he's like this.
Yeah.
So, okay. I know we lingered a little bit long about that, but
it's a heavy thing. You can't just say, oh, he's disgusting or whatever. But you made Mac have a reason behind why he is the way he is today.
Yes.
And the same way you make him have all these vulnerabilities and the way he interacts with Charlotte.
Yes.
I think it's really, really cool to have just kind of a concrete backstory of what causes this to happen. And the theater thing.
Yeah.
The last line in the last Grossman chapter, where Grossman is no more.
Yeah.
Where Mac ended Grossman. To tie into the theater, he had the chemicals dance in his brain in a different way.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really nice way to kind of tie up the entire theater arc that you had in all these scenes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that took me a while to write.
Yeah.
With the chemicals. That was difficult.
That was smart.
Because I didn't want it too technical, but also wanted to show what happened.
Yeah.
It's hard to balance those things, but it's doable.
It is fundamentally chemicals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I think this is a funny one now.
Oh gosh, I need water for that. Excuse me.
Where's your teacup?
So the next one is for the Will fans. It was basically at Great Bend when Charlotte tried to seduce Will. Well,
Charlotte gets
completely
drunk.
Intoxicated.
Charlotte pulls out the moves. And Will's being a total gentleman.
Yeah, he is being a total gentleman. And he's being a funny total gentleman. How does this scene make me feel? I have to remind myself that's the purpose of discussing.
You want to write about it, don't you?
Yes.
It made me laugh my socks off.
Yeah, it was very comical and it was very heartwarming.
Yeah.
Even though Charlotte was a mess.
I think everybody can relate to acting a fool sometimes.
Yes, yeah.
That was a cringe moment for Charlotte.
Yes, that was her cringe moment.
But it's also a very quotable moment for Will. What was he said?
That his virile member is about to burst asunder.
His virile member is about to burst asunder.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. But yeah, because he cannot say something vulgar. He's got to say it in his own little way.
Which I appreciate. You know, I mean.
But he was shook.
Yeah.
He didn't know what to do. But it's not that he didn't know what to do, but basically he didn't want to take advantage of her. She was throwing herself at him, and they had not done something like this before. And it was,
Yes, I remember
she was upset.
when he, I think she was straddling him, and he was like, "Your impeccable bosom" or something like this is basically in very close proximity, and she's like, "What? Do you want me to show them?"
You want me to show them to you? Yeah. And he was like, ah.
Because you have the complexity of his speech.
Yeah.
And the complexity of her intoxication, and she doesn't understand him fully. So she's like, what is he talking about right now? I don't understand a word.
She thought he was just asking for them.
Yes.
Yeah. He was trying to warn her that, hey, I can see things I probably shouldn't be seeing right now. Something's peeking.
Oh, little Will.
Gentleman.
Yeah. So that's how it made me feel very happy, and it was a relief after she said goodbye to Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was heavy. Yeah. Heavy for Charlotte too. She didn't know how to handle these feelings.
No. Yeah,
Yep.
Like a teenager kind of. Poor thing. Even at, how old was she? 26?
Well, 26, but she was having teenager life experiences at the moment.
Yeah, of course. Which, after the first kiss, she's like, okay, he's my one. Let's marry,
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one is terrible.
Yes. Will, the ultimate gentleman.
The interrogation. of Will by Sheriff Dorman.
Yep. He let Charlotte escape out the back of the same cabin where they were having that moment. And Sheriff's going after Charlotte. Will's in the way.
Yeah.
He thinks Will might know something.
And she whacked him.
He got walked a lot of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they showed this kind of, rage moment that actually I've seen a few characters have in different ways, but I think it's very relatable where, there's your brain's in violent mode and it doesn't know where to stop.
Yeah.
And so during the interrogation, I think he's getting basically pistol whipped.
Yes, and Dorman, being Grossman's brother, has a lot of eagerness to find Mac.
Yeah,
and
it's very personal.
It's very personal. So he just unleashes, that rage on Will and doesn't stop because Will is being very, very, faithful and everything.
Yeah,
he's being very strong there.
That's true.
Yeah, and we haven't seen this side of him, and I think that's very admirable.
Yeah, when it came to the bear, he wasn't used to shooting bears, but when it comes to holding his ground here,
he did.
He was very strong,
and that shows. I like the scene because it shows his personality is honestly pretty legit. It's very admirable. Yeah. So I hated that he basically seized at the end of the interrogation, and
that was painful.
Yeah, and
it was very unjust.
Yes.
Just way past the point of torturing to get information, but just whop 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 and skulls cracking.
Yes, and it is just.
And it's a very scary thing to experience.
Yeah, imagine him how he must have felt. I mean, it's a fictional character, I know, but he's not right now.
You feel like you're getting unjustly whooped when you read that.
Yeah. Mm. Well, so let's jump into the Waltz.
Yeah.
Where we see a different Will again, a very confident, a very notorious figure.
He is known amongst all the elite.
Yes, and also admired.
Yeah.
And
he's inviting Charlotte to the annual Waltz ball that's held on this fancy riverboat by the mayor of the big city.
He's also, I'm laughing because of the tailor shop before with Pierre. Yeah. Anyway, okay.
Yeah, Will was speaking French in the tailor shop and had a lot of funny moments.
Requesting of Pierre, who is very proud of all his designs and clothing there, and it basically Charlotte at the end of the chapter request for men's jeans. Like riding jeans. And
this is not a riding thing. Yeah. The fanciest, most elite type of ball gowns. Yeah, possible when you don't get riding jeans. So, I like the ball. The balls. the Waltz ball. Balls.
Not again. Not again. Why do I like it? Because,
I'm glad you like it.
Okay. I'm gonna choke.
There is a little Easter egg in the balls.
No, 2 Easter eggs.
2?
Yeah, 2.
2 balls.
Huh?
2 balls.
No. Okay, enough with that now.
Okay, go ahead.
There are 2 Easter eggs.
I'm completely lost.
Like my mom does. 2. Sorry.
This is the German 0, I suppose. Yeah. So technically 2.
With the accent 2. Okay, sorry.
2.
So the one Easter egg is basically, I'm not gonna say it, but it has to do with paintings. We know the painter of the paintings, okay? And then the second one is more obvious. It's, again, the man that suddenly appears behind Charlotte. So I really enjoy this part. It's very eerie because I know what it means and you don't. And I love all the little social interactions between the elite and Charlotte. And Will,
Yeah.
you know, we have the mayor, Lemaire, checking out Will. Yes,
course.
he did. And we have also Jane Tillman, who said, what did he say? Did she say that?
That's brilliant.
What did she say about the brooms?
Well, that Tillman was not... Tillman, you know, is a very famous marshal, and he's usually invited to this, but he wasn't appearing at this moment. So she's there.
Yeah, of course.
The ex-wife.
Yes.
And she's trying to, you know, wonder where he is.
Yeah.
And she says, well, if he's desperate enough, he might be in a broom closet trying to basically get it on with a broom. Which is really, really funny on several levels because, you know, Tillman, as we'll find out, has a very healthy appetite later on.
Yep.
Yeah. But anyway, and also Jane's a major character too.
Yes.
In the third book, actually.
Yeah, and I love this scene because you come across so many people, even like Will points them out to her. And later on, you will get to meet these people. And I love this. It just...
It adds color at that moment, showing that the world is alive.
And even,
but wow, you realize later that these aren't NPCs. They're real characters.
There's even Mr. Pratchett.
Was he there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, there's Mr. Pratchett. I've added that in this book.
My idol.
And he's basically, I think he's arguing. What was he doing? Arguing with his what is she? Mistress? I don't know. Because something with a handkerchief. I don't remember exactly right now, but I just love that there's so many people introduced that you're going to really, really get to know.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And of course, the drama, Mac is on the boat.
Yeah.
And he's in the closet instead of Tillman. And there is this scene with the pocket watch, and I really, when I wrote it, I seriously could picture it and hear the pocket watch, you know. And I find it really cute that he just left the pocket watch and the bandana for her.
These old pocket watches weren't quiet.
No.
And so the closet was cracked.
Yes.
And chaos was ensuing because Mac had done some things on the boat.
Of course.
You know. So Will's trying to usher her out, but she gets drawn back to that little closet.
Yeah. And she peeks inside and sees this little blue eyeball or something.
Yeah,
but
I think she sees it.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then Will comes, oh, Charlotte, blah, blah. Anyway, and then he kind of disappears, but it's cute that he leaves her this gift for her. And it's so precious.
Something so that she knows.
Instead of him, selling it, which was the purpose.
Yeah, that's the whole reason why he went to the boat is to get a trinket that he could sell.
Not the pocket watch, but something else.
Well, that's what he wound up getting, though.
Yeah.
The other plan failed. The pocket watch was really the only thing he had, so he gave it to her.
Yeah, and it's just so cute. Or his bandana to show, hey, I'm still here, I'm still thinking of you, and...
He's confusing her in all kinds of ways.
Well, he's confused himself.
That's true.
Hello, welcome back. I decided to make myself some tea.
She got jealous.
And we decided to get further on the list.
I think that we can hit half the list today, so we have 2 parts instead of 3.
Yeah.
And just not get too swarmy.
Yes. So... that's one of my favorite scenes, is Charlotte meeting Levi.
We haven't talked about Levi at all.
I know.
In anything, but he's a major, major character.
I know. And yeah, I think it needs to be talked about.
Yeah.
So when basically she meets him in that saloon, Bucket of Blood saloon, and it's really one of my favorite scenes because he's honestly very attractive.
Yeah.
In that scene.
He's the most traditionally attractive man, I think, of
the Loveletting series or Haunt?
Of Haunt.
Yeah.
Of her interest in Haunt.
Wait.
I know Tillman exists. I know. Calm down. We're going to get to him later.
Okay.
In Haunt.
Okay.
He's the hot stuff.
Oh, I can't wait for curse. Yes, he is the hot stuff in Haunt. Yeah. And yeah. I mean, he's Norwegian. He's tall. He is muscular. Mm-hmm. He has green eyes. He has nice black hair.
So basically tall, dark, and handsome.
Yes.
You want me to go in a closet, turn off the lights, stand on a chair, and lie?
Remember, you're JB.
I'm JB. Thank you so much to Rock and Reeds for confirming that I am JB and giving me this to live with my entire life.
I'm kidding.
No,
I mean, I
we should
didn't
all
say.
we should all aspire.
didn't say.
No, it's actually a third party objective person that makes it 10 times worse. I mean, of course you would say it because you're annoyed with me, but
And I bet your mother-in-law enjoys this.
I bet she does too. I bet she does too.
You see, karma.
Yeah,
Karma
this is
calling
karma
her Snape.
for Snape. Yeah, yeah. It comes back to bite me in my JB booty. Mm-hmm. Basically,
You're Heine.
Can I show you my toe fungus?
No. Oh,
I mean, if I'm going to be called JB, might as well be JB.
No. Okay, so Levi, how did this make me feel? How did it make you feel?
Yeah, I mean, he was very smooth, as you would say. He kind of came in and saved the day in a very different way than Matt Kinnon or Will would, because Mac would have saved the day by, unaliving somebody again. That's kind of his go-to answer. Will would have saved the day by, being super diplomatic, being friendly, or maybe opening his checkbook. I'm not sure which of those would have worked in this case, though.
None.
Probably none, because this is rough and tough.
Yeah.
They probably would have smacked Will.
Yeah.
So Levi, on the other hand, was, big enough to be imposing.
Not only that, but also famous, in what he did.
Yeah. But,
also respected.
He managed to, make the situation calm down without resorting to violence either.
Yeah.
And got Charlotte out of there.
Yeah.
And also, I think Charlotte was kind of inebriated at this moment too, right?
Slightly.
A little bit. But, he escorted her home. And the reader's going like, okay, I hope he's going to be legit. But he was. He didn't push it then.
But what I like about this entire interaction is that you can see a few traces of Levi being who he really is, or not being who he really is, but of what he is capable of, maybe, because he is throwing a lot of looks, inappropriate looks at inappropriate places.
Oh, that's true.
You know?
Read every word she writes because it matters.
Also, on her way to the saloon, there is an Easter egg. Somebody's hiding somewhere. That's all I'm going to say. So back to Levi. I also like the scene because you see Charlotte being very, very stubborn to stand her ground before this huge guy that tries to intimidate her. Yeah,
which is very cute of her.
Yes.
She's a little spitfire.
But what can you do in this situation? You either shrivel away and,
That's true.
So I like that about her, that she has some grit to her. I like that.
She does have grit.
And I really enjoy the interaction between Charlotte and Levi. I think they have a nice chemistry. Levi is very, very easy to talk with.
Yeah.
And I think Charlotte is also, even though she's more shy and reserved and all that.
Well, first of all, she actually understands his language.
Yeah.
As opposed to Will.
Yes. Even though Levi has a Norwegian accent.
Yeah, but he still speaks common English.
Yes.
And as opposed to Mac, who doesn't speak.
Yeah.
So it's easier for her to kind of feel comfortable.
Yeah, and I think she really enjoys this, and especially after dealing with Mac's absence and Will's absence.
Yeah.
She just feels like she's being abandoned.
At this point is where Will went back home.
And at this point, she learned during the ball that Will is actually married.
Yeah.
So she is kind of...
Many gossipy little chickens at the ball. Very funny. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it is interesting to see her kind of, as you'd expect for a beautiful young woman who leaves her hometown, she's kind of meeting different types and kind of learning the different ins and outs of things as she goes.
Yeah. I don't know. They have a funny interaction, and with Finn something, and then Charlotte tries to say what's going on with her, but then she remembers, oh, maybe I shouldn't say that, you know. So
yeah,
I don't know. I was very charmed by Levi in this chapter and in this scene, and later on also with Levi. He's just very charming to me.
Yeah,
But then Mac appears again.
Of course.
And that's the next scene. One of my favorite scenes is when he gets injured with a glass.
That was such a cool scene, the way you visually laid that out. It's really like something out of The Crow. You like the classic Crow?
Yes.
You know, just the city, the moonlight, up on top of the buildings. That's where Mac is kind of happy being, is he's always going through the woods, or if he's in a city, he's hopping from rooftop to rooftop. You know, if it's a tight packed city where you can do that. Very, very slick little guy.
Yeah.
And the only reason why he got injured again is because he somehow had a heart a little bit.
Yeah. And he wondered about that too. And I think he kind of was able to relate to the thieves.
Yeah.
Of struggling to, steal something or whatever to sell or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I think there was this small sliver of compassion, and he basically unalived the one and to end his misery.
Yeah.
But yeah, he gets injured.
With his last bullet.
Yes.
Yeah.
He gets injured, and Charlotte finds him. And here I am describing the scene again. How did this make me feel?
To find Mac there like that after she's kind of got this going on with Levi and uncertain about Will.
Well, she was freaking happy to find him. Of
Sure.
course, distraught to find
Mac.
him like this.
He's Mac.
Yeah, and it's so clear.
He wasn't happy to find her, though.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I can do that on YouTube either, but he was,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she was so...
He wasn't certain.
Like, you can tell in this scene that she just knows that he's the one. Did I say she or he?
Think she knows that he's the one.
Yes, that he's the one for her, and it just clicks right there.
So it doesn't matter how much chemistry she's got with Levi and how many jokes they have. There's a gut feeling she has with Mac.
Yes,
that kind of defies logic, but...
And I love their interaction and how there is a moment where she says, she notices how his hair is longer, and she says kind of that you changed. And then he's like, you also changed, but he means something else.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's good at the double entendre. She is.
I think any woman is.
Touche. Yeah.
And it's just, I love how close they get and yet not too close, and how she learns to stitch him up, and he's like, I don't know, it's just...
Yeah, he's got this awful laceration on his arm from glass, and he's basically bleeding out. And
sorry. Yeah, it storms into my head, all the little moments. Basically, she reaches for his saddlebag. Man purse, I guess. Man purse.
He has some type of very manly bag with him.
Very manly. So to get the threads and stuff, whatever. Satchel, yes.
Yeah.
To get his stuff for her to get his stuff to stitch him up. And then he realizes as she, fumbles through it, that, not fumbles through it.
Oh, she was fumbling, but he's got this notebook where he's been secretly drawing her.
Exactly. So he's suddenly very, very aware of it, that she is, in its proximity.
Of all people to find his little drawings, not her.
And he's just terrified more than bleeding out of his wound.
Yeah, which sounds very lifelike.
Yes, I would be terrified.
If it's your crush, they're supposed to find something they're not supposed to find.
Yeah, I would be terrified. Yeah. So it's kind of cute that he's considering this.
Yeah, that is cute.
Yeah, I think it's a nice moment.
It is.
That they have there. So
it's a very real moment.
Yeah. And it's the first moment that she finds him so vulnerable too. Yeah. And she's very, very concerned about him.
True.
And she takes care of him. It's a
two-way street.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of neat to see her not be the damsel in distress.
Yeah, and imagine from his perspective how it is for a woman.
He was prepared to die.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And
what can he do? Go to hospital?
Yes. So.
I mean, he couldn't get up to move anyway. He was just going to die there. He couldn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So, how does it usually go in your books where the two characters are having their romantic little interlude? Somebody stops it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's?
Levi.
Levi.
Levi the bounty hunter. Now, that is another way that Charlotte kind of saves Mac, is because if Levi's found Mac when Mac's, totally weak and delirious, that would have been the end of Mac as well. So in several ways, Charlotte saved him that night.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a complicated situation there, but there's a ton of tension. And
yeah, Levi's like, you know each other? What's because Levi is the bounty hunter after Mac.
Yes, and so she doesn't think it then, I don't think. Well, she will blame it for it, so it doesn't matter.
She starts to get suspicious of Levi's motives.
And why he's after her, because they had run into each other with the potatoes and all this.
Yeah.
So...
that potato scene was funny, though.
Yes.
That was nice. And I think they had their date, of course, before then as well.
Yes, so she's
where he told her
now.
to order potatoes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was a nice one, too.
Yeah, that was actually normal date for her.
Yeah.
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 So she basically convinces Levi to not take in Mac at that moment, that he needs help and it's not fair, and kind of rely on your Nordic honor a little bit. This isn't a fair pursuit. So she kind of played the game with what she had to play with there.
Yeah, exactly. A little feline game there.
Yeah, I see that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little strategy.
Well, if it works, it works.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we have Mr. Jables. JB Chott.
Yep.
Meeting Mac for the first time and Charlotte, and I find this scene hilarious.
Yes.
Because JB is just hilarious.
He says all the wrong things at the wrong time.
Like my mom.
An absolute talent.
It's terrible.
Like, if you don't know what you're saying is one thing, but you still have 1,000 possibilities to say something neutral.
Well,
if it's not going to be the right thing.
The thing is...
you have to have skill to say the wrong thing.
See, I mentioned before that JB is kind of inspired by my mom. And that's because... I think it's because being Austrian... and she's half German... you're very direct. And you don't consider feelings... hurting people's feelings.
Diplomacy out the window.
But it's not... It's not... You don't say it in a mean way.
Yeah, it's not malintentioned.
No, you don't wish to insult the other person. And somehow I haven't... I don't have this part of it. I have all the other terrible genetics.
You've got the floppy kneecaps and these other things, yeah.
So, thank you.
I like your floppy kneecaps.
Thanks. But yeah, the reason why she's inspired, or he's inspired after her, is because she says what she thinks.
Yeah, no filter.
It doesn't matter if you're the president or if you're whatever, it just doesn't matter. She has no filter, and that's JB.
Yeah.
So
it can get you in a lot of trouble, but on the other hand, it is kind of an admirable trait. To not just be, snaking your way through the grass and saying what you need to say.
Yes, but in that meeting, I'm cracking up because JP looks at Charlotte, and Charlotte says, "Oh, I've heard so many things about you," and JP, he's looking at her. And he's like, "Yeah, I've heard some huge."
Yes.
Or when he sees Mac, he tells Levi, "Is that M-A-C-K?"
Right. Like, it's not all adults around that know exactly what it is, but he's spelling it out.
And he tries to whisper, but he can't.
No. Full volume whisper.
Yeah, so it's a very comical scene that...
And his eyes are popping out.
Yeah,
and his eyebrows are doing this all the time.
Bulging eyeballs. He's a character that is needed in this book.
Yeah.
Since it's so dark, it just lightens up everything.
But what's funny is he's also very insightful and sees some good in Mac in a way.
Yeah.
Sometimes he has these little bits of wisdom that pop out of nowhere. And so does your mom.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, she's really says some really poignant things from time to time.
I mean, I just need to say this. My mom is not like JB in terms of intelligence.
No.
Or the revolting parts of JB.
Your mom provides some.
She's a very classy lady,
Yes.
Viennese classy lady. But yeah.
She provides some really genuine belly laughs.
Yes.
From time to time.
She's very pure. Okay. The next scene is the fishing cabin with Mac.
Yeah, I like the moment where, there's obviously this rivalry between Levi and Mac. They're both tough. They both like Charlotte. They both, so you kind of very organically have the situation. And again, it's not exactly a love triangle either.
No, and I hate when people comment on that.
To be a love triangle or love square or love tetrahedron.
No, not that everybody wants Charlotte. I mean, I'm sorry. Have you ever been in a situation where there is a attractive person and people are drawn to this person like flies?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody has been in high school or whatever where you feel like the ugly duckling when everybody else gets the honey. And, it's not something, it's not a scenario that is so far-fetched.
Right, exactly.
And...
Well, especially in the West frontier.
Yes! You would be lucky if you had good teeth, you know?
Well, I mean, yeah, and there's what is the man-to-woman ratio right now? I mean, maybe 50 men per woman.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and most of the women are working ladies, too. So, yeah, she is kind of a rare commodity just by stats, let alone her personality or looks or anything else.
And I mean, everybody can have their opinion. Again, I'm being defensive. I'm not being defensive. I'm just, I feel like it didn't, when I wrote these characters and the love triangle, I didn't think of it like so abnormal.
Yeah. It's not unreasonable for both of these guys to kind of have a liking for Charlotte.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it led to a really, really funny thing in the cabin that I like.
Yeah.
Basically, Charlotte very innocently goes skinny dipping.
Yes.
Yeah, she goes out early in the morning to it's been stress up until then, and she goes to flop around in the little lake outside the cabin, and they're on the run, they've got dirty clothes or whatever. It's not like she's got a bathing suit, So Mac and Levi both hear some splashing.
Yeah,
they both walk up to the window and see Charlotte out in the distance with her with what God gave her, and they're both stunned and they're just watching. And Levi says,
well, they're not watching.
They're trying to.
Yes.
They're trying to. Yeah, they don't want each other to see.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so they're trying to distract each other and then get a peek. But so Levi would say, "Mac, isn't it time to go take your medicine?" And Mac would say, "Nah, she gives it to me." It was really funny, and he was. They were both telling each other to go do something else, anything else, so they can just sit there and watch Charlotte.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Charlotte comes back and none the wiser, and sees both of them there by the window.
Yeah. And she's like, "Oh, you've been up for a long time."
Yeah.
Yeah. But another thing in the fishing cabin is where Mac is burning up with fever, and they finally situate him in the bed, and Charlotte is about to leave, and he's just gripping her or something, and he says, "Please stay," or "Stay here," kind of orders, or not orders, but he kind of pleads, or basically.
Yeah.
And that's the first time that they sleep together, like
cuddle together. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And it's just a very endearing moment. And
to show that you need someone in that moment, please stay.
Yes, especially for him to express this.
It's like me when I went into surgery. I was latched onto you like.
Yes.
Yeah, but you need when you really need someone.
Mm-hmm. And I felt that in writing this scene that he really, really needed Charlotte, and Charlotte was more than happy, to assist him.
Happy to oblige.
Yes.
Other fishing cabin moment before you go on is when Mac comes out of the water.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's clever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think he invented this technique, but what was he doing? Breathing through a reed, through a straw, through the lake, but or just holding his breath. I don't know what he was doing.
I don't know where you get that from, but okay.
I don't know. That is a thing.
Well, not for Mac.
Hide underwater.
Mac has trained himself. Okay, he's multitasking.
He don't need no straw.
Exactly.
Okay. So he was hiding under the water when all the deputies were shooting out the cabin and looking all over for him.
Yeah.
And finally, the deputies start, getting their target set on Charlotte.
Yeah,
starting
and then
to get around her. And
I mean, they know it.
okay, but let me lead up. He comes out of the water with the moon behind, or whatever, the sun, or whatever it was. But he was like,
sun, the moon.
I mean, hey, I've got my vision.
Okay.
There was two, but he comes out of the water, saves the day, and the reader doesn't know where he was either. But it was very powerful, and then just pop, 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 pop. That was cool.
Yeah.
And Charlotte had her little penknife.
Well, what was cool is how the water was dripping from his hair on those nice shoulders. And
yes.
And yeah.
I'm gonna go take a shower. I'll be right back.
Anyway, but
it was a cool scene.
It was a cool scene, and I think it's a very cinematic scene. Yeah. I feel like we kind of described it more than the scene than our feelings.
I think we've felt some things. I think that there's some people that felt some things with that. Very much. So there's a few more notes that we need to make on the fishing cabin with Mac, but I think tonight's not the night.
Yeah.
My tea and your tea weren't up to the task.
No.
So I think we got mostly halfway done.
Yes.
We'll pick it up.
I mean, there's a lot of scenes, and honestly, we skipped so many.
It's crazy how much there is, even skipping so many. But I also have my shower to take tonight. To come out of the bathroom with the steam behind and the moon.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll let you know how it works.
Well, thank you so much for supporting us and for listening and for watching. And I know these videos are very long.
Yeah.
So I hope you don't mind. And
if we made them 10 minutes, we couldn't cover jack squat either. So
yeah, it's kind of
hard to know what to do exactly.
Yeah.
But we hope you enjoy it. We enjoy talking about it.
So.
Yep.
Bye-bye. Bye. Oh.
Bye. That was a good one.
We
built it up.
The book. The book. How's that shower scene working out for you?
It's going to work out okay when you crash the tea on my head.
Okay, bye guys.
Bye.